Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Soul Show. It's your boy Soul, and I'm here to talk about Stranger Things Season 3. I'm all caught up. It ended like 2 years ago, but I'm all caught up and just in time for Season 4, which is still pretty far away. But that being said, Stranger Things Season 3, I like this season. I liked it more than last season, and I didn't get to mention this in my review of season 2, which I should have, but in the last season, there was not a very good villain. We had this giant monster who was then defeated via some other people, like basically closing a door. Which, I don't want to go too much into spoilers. And season 3 has a similar effect, but the things that start first, there's like some weird creepy rats, and then the rats are exploding. It was the first time I really had that like mystery feel again, where I was like, wait, what's going on? And then Billy starts acting weird, Max's sister. And then you start to piece things together. I was like, is this like John Carpenter's The Thing going on right now? And that felt good. It felt good to be back in the mystery, even if it was very brief. The shit hits the fan pretty fast, don't get me wrong. But before we get into all that, we have to talk about the new setting. We take a big, big, big section of this story, and it all takes place at the new mall, the Starcourt Mall. Steve Harrington and a new cast member, Robin, work as ice cream salesmen, uh, ice cream scoopers. They work at Scoop Troop or some shit like that. It's awesome. Literally the entire season, they are wearing their ice cream uniforms. It's great. I love that. I love also the fact that all the teenage characters are like adults now, and they are having to grip with adulthood. Nancy, she's an adult and she's trying to take down the male patriarchy, which doesn't really go any it doesn't really go anywhere. But that gave her something to do in the earlier episodes. I can't really complain like I did in the last season. Her and I literally had to look up the fucking guy's name, Jonathan Byers. Again, they were really hitting it hard in the first couple episodes, but they kind of faltered to the background. It's kind of just something that happens when you have this many characters at this point. Like, my face is covering some of the characters. That's how many goddamn characters we got now. And not everyone is gonna have things to do, and that is unfortunate. But such is life, you know. We even have some new characters. Robin is one of my favorite characters in the whole show. Lucas's sister, who's like this smart mouth asshole. At first, I was like, "Oh no, she's gonna be really cringe, child, like that young of child acting," but she fucking killed it. She's sassy. She gets some of the best lines. I can like if you didn't like it, like if that wasn't your thing, I can completely understand. But she's a little smart ass bitch, and I love it. And the actress that they got to play her, it was one of those times where it was like, oh, like I felt like they knew her from the previous seasons that she was great, and so she was like, they were like, let's focus on her, which isn't a bad thing because Lucas feels like the token black character half the time, and everyone else we get to meet their entire family and focus on them. So like, it's nice that Lucas's family is actually doing something for once. So I am not complaining about the new characters and the characters that they put to the sideline, like Nancy, John. Uh, I didn't really give a shit about what they were doing lately anyway, so it's okay. I'm all right with that. They're just more bodies at this point. And meanwhile, you also got Jim Hopper and Joyce going on another quest. They run into this other new character named Dr. Alexi. They run into that one guy from last season. Murray is his name. Yeah, they have a really weird quest line. I think it was my least favorite part of the show for this season. And don't get me wrong, I still love Jim Hopper. He's my favorite character, and they fully embrace the weird. dumb idiot sheriff, I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want side of him. Like the first frame of him is basically who he has turned into. He's just more sloppy. He still takes on like five guys at once and wins somehow. There's this Terminator character who's a really dumb villain, and this fucking local cop who's out of shape is going head to head with this Terminator Russian guy. Tell me how he doesn't lose immediately. But Jim and Joyce really got that chemistry, and this season is the one where you feel it the most. They really want to ship these two, and there's actual tension there. There's adult tension, whereas the previous season it was like who's gonna get back together? Like the friends, they broken up. The band has to get back to it. Got back together. You knew it would. But the tension between Joyce and Jim is actually pretty real because spoiler alert, you don't know if Joyce is gonna move, and you still want them to get together. But at the same time, you're like, she should move. They constantly are being inundated with scary monsters from a fucking dark nether realm. Of course they should leave. Speaking of the dark nether realm, the upside down really feels unimportant at this point. Again, I like the stuff that they were doing with Billy and that side of the villainy, but as far as like the upside down and like what the Russians are doing, um, it was very uninspired. I remember the first season. Remember Jim being in the upside down, that like cavern. Well, that was season two, but in the first season also, like when we would see Will in there, and like you just didn't know anything about it. Like it was scary. It doesn't matter anymore. It's a big fucking black hole in the wall. It does not matter. And the scary monster at least has something to do. It's not just a scary monster that shows up every once in a while. They're not just drawing pictures of it. It's actually doing things. It's also good because this is a small spoiler, but it takes over people's bodies, and L this time can't just explode its mind and then, GG. This time around, they actually have to combat it. And there's a really interesting battle with Billy in this like sauna area. That was great. I really enjoyed all that. And the way it culminates, I sometimes think ahead of time, like as I'm watching the show, I get these little like writing notes in my head. And I was just thinking, because they were using, like, Lucas was doing some dumb shit with his slingshot. I was like, thinking that I was like, I'm gonna bag on Lucas's slingshot thing. He's never gonna do anything with that fucking slingshot. I was gonna bag on the fact that Elle is continuing to bust everyone out. Everyone else is a damsel in distress in Elle's world. She beats everyone's ass. No one else does anything but Elle. And right after I was thinking that, Lucas does something with his slingshot. He saves the fucking day, and Elle temporarily can't use her powers, and literally everyone else has to team up and do stuff. That's what I'm talking about. That is what I like to see. And I didn't even get to talk about the best part of this season, which is the Scoop Troop, the Ice Cream Gang, Robin, Dustin, and your boy, Steve Harrington. They carried the season for me. There was actually some good emotional moments in there. There was probably the most real, like, Stranger Things is at its best when it's just some characters talking. They're just shooting the shit, and we got the most of that with these guys. And these are the most likable characters, and they happen to put them all together. Dustin, the way they end the season, the never-ending story bit, yeah, that was perfect. Everything to do with that, I loved. And sure, there's not like a big payoff at the end of the season, but again, they don't need to because it's more about the journey, right? And a lot of the payoff that normally comes at the end of Stranger Things doesn't really do much for me, including this season. Elle, by the way, does the same arc that I was talking about last time. She gets frumpy. She goes meh. Her nose bleeds. She's a little bit better at talking. And if anything, now it's weird because now she has a boyfriend. She's completely entered society at this point, but she still talks weird. She still will be like she's like 75% of the way there. But they make sure that they'll be writing a scene and they'll be like, "Oh wait, L's dumb. We got to rewrite it. Like say two less words. Make her sentence structured like with a question mark at the end." Yeah, that I did not like. But for the most part, I thought this season, considering what Stranger Things could have been, I think it did a good job. They could have really oversaturated it. They could have done more 80s nostalgia bait, but they kept it classy with the nostalgia bait this time. Uh, as much as they can with this show. The characters, for the most part, had things to do. Characters like Max and Billy, who didn't really do much last season, they had more to do. Enjoyed the evolution of these characters. The things that bother me, I think, are just going to always bother me. This isn't the same show as season one. It's evolved past that. That's not a bad thing though. I wasn't like gung ho for season one like some people. I don't think it's a perfect season of television. It was a pretty good season of television. Season two was not as good as season three in my opinion, but that's just me. I enjoyed the big finale with Jim. I enjoyed the new cast. I enjoyed the antagonist, even if it did boil down to another. We gotta get to a certain hole in the wall shenanigans. Despite all that, season three kicked ass. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna give season three an 8 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Please watch my reviews for season one, season two, and I will do my best to review season four when it comes out. Thank you for watching, and with that, I leave you.